Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Movie Viewers Advisory. I am here with my fellow co-workers at Bowie. My name is Joy.
Hi, I'm Laria.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And we love horror movies, so let's get started. We'll start off with a somewhat easy one. What makes a horror movie? And Laria, why don't you kick us off?
That's actually I feel like that's a really, really extended question. A horror movie is there's a lot. There's a lot that can make a good horror movie, but it has to scare me. I need to feel some sense of afraid or fright or something. There has to be some element of fear in it. And I think that kind of is what makes it a horror movie. What do you think, Chris?
It's always felt like the either embracing your fears out of actually feeling them and then confronting them, or just kind of wallowing in it because it's happening to someone else.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. I agree. I think a horror movie definitely has to invoke some fearful emotion. Yeah, so what is your favorite horror movie and why? And what do you think, Chris?
I've kind of got two favorites just from different ends of the spectrum. I'm a fan of the kind of very old black and white classic horror movies that first tapped into the skewed perspectives and heightened emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I love 1932, I believe, or maybe 35, Bride of Frankenstein, because it also works really well as a dark comedy, along with the classic Frankenstein image. And then from more recent, I love the Swedish horror film Let the Right One In, about a little boy who's kind of very lonely and isolated, and he befriends a little girl who he realizes is actually an ages-old vampire.
Okay. Wait, I have to go check that one out because that sounded really interesting. I too would probably say that I have a favorite. I don't know why. I love Nosferatu. The original, no, it's a silent film. There's no real it just, to me, it's great, and I think it kind of sparked my love of vampires, which is a huge, huge thing for me. I'm very particular about my vampires, okay? My current favorite, I'm a huge fan of the Conjuring series, I guess. I don't have a particular favorite movie out of that one, but I like what that world is doing. I like what they're doing in that whole and I like the fact that everything's based on a true story. Anything based on a true story really is ooh, it's creepy. I love things that are based on true facts. I'm the person that loves the pointing out the stairs from what is it?
The Exorcist.
Yes.
Oh,
The Exorcist stairs.
Okay.
Yes, I'm that person that will walk to the Exorcist stairs and show you where they are, and it'll be dark. Yes, I'm that friend.
Yeah, I just watched The Exorcist and I hadn't seen it before. I really liked it. It was creepy. I wasn't terrified, but it was very eerie and seeing the slow possession of this child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always take it to a psychological thing. It's the corruption of innocence. That just makes it all the more creepy or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I've also never seen Nosferatu, but all I can think of is that episode of SpongeBob where it's Nosferatu turning the lights on and off. And then they're like, Nosferatu.
I don't know, it's cute. It's not really scary just because we've come so far in like what we can do with scary now.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be like an original kind of like thing, like it kind of is one of those like OG movies, like it's an original movie kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that. You can. He's not glamorized as a vampire. There's no appeal or attraction to it. He's just very rodent-like and very inhuman. There's no wanting to be that vampire, as opposed to like the glamorous Dracula or Buffy or Twilight or whatever. You do not want to be that vampire. Or Lestat.
That's a good point. I'm gonna go like a little different direction with my favorite. I really love Ari Aster, so I would probably say Midsummer is my favorite horror movie right now. I think it's really unsettling that it takes place in the day, and also one of my fears is like being in a cult and not being able to get out. And it just has very like striking imagery, and it's just very unsettling, and that's the feeling that I go after with horror.
It was very intense.
Mm-hmm. I was sweating through the whole thing.
You were sweating?
Like, well, yeah, sweating, and when you hold your hands like this through it, you're just like,
Did your palms get all
your nails
like
sticking
clammy and stuff?
Yeah, they're doing it right now because I'm talking about it. And I got the same thing from Hereditary too, so I just like, woo. And then this kind of brings me to my next question, which is, what is the scariest horror movie you've ever seen and why? But this can also be like, which movie brought out the most emotion for you and like stuck with you? And let's start with Laria, because it looks like you're thinking.
I am. You see the thinking face?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Child's Play. To this day, Child's Play, like the original one, not the thing that Hulu tried recently. No, the original, very first Child's Play was very, very. It freaked me out. It did as a kid because I had a lot of dolls as a child. I'm an only child, so I would play by myself. So a lot of times I had dolls. And I snuck downstairs one day and watched Chucky on HBO. So it was unedited. And let's just say I was nice to my dolls for the remainder of the time that I played with dolls. I didn't want you to come back and try to possess my soul and possess my body. So, okay, Malibu Barbie, we're gonna tuck you in real nice like right now. Yeah, Child's Play to this day. I can watch it now as an adult and I'm like, oh. But like as a kid, yeah, that one freaked me out. I could watch anything else, but Child's Play freaked me out. Yeah.
Yeah, they stick with you longer when you're younger watching them too, I feel like.
Yeah.
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 Chris?
Like scariest probably would be the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It took me like 2 or 3 tries to get through it all just because it's so visceral. It's so intense. It's like heightened a bit, but it really kind of could happen. Like it's like humans being the worst to other humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Leatherface is based off of like a number of serial killers.
Actually, yeah, real life killers, yeah.
So it really could happen, or it did happen. Yeah, that one was another. I guess I just sweat through a lot of horror movies, but that was another like sweaty one. I'm revealing a lot of personal information about myself, but that's fine. We're all human.
Okay, Joy. It's okay.
And the movie's done its job, I mean.
Yeah. So would you say that's both the scariest and the one that stuck with you the longest, Chris?
Stuck with me the longest probably was kind of going back to the childhood thing. like Laria said, was Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one with Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder. But because I originally got the book of the making of the movie out from the library as a kid, and those images stuck with me. But then I didn't actually get to see the actual movie until a couple of years after that. But I kind of felt like, so even though I hadn't seen the movie itself in full, the images from it just really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Huh. I hadn't seen that one. But the movie that stands out that stuck with me the longest was probably Mother, with the one with Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Really?
Exclamation point, Mother. Okay.
Yeah, because the anxiety I felt throughout the movie, like as the people were like rushing in their house and like it was just chaos, that just like really struck a chord with me. And I was like, oh my God, they're not following the rules. They're just like running about and they're violent and I don't like it. And it just like, and the whole movie is like that too. So I just like, that got the most anxiety out of me. I had to take a nap after I watched it. It was just, like, it really fed on that like part of me that is afraid of like people just rushing in and like doing whatever they want and not following any kind of like courtesy rules or anything. So yeah. And then the scariest, I would probably say like I can't think of like a whole movie that's scary. I can think of like specific parts though. Like, or specific elements like the jump scares get me a lot. Also, like in the movie The Descent, when you see the camera footage with the night vision and then you like see the creature really suddenly, like that really scared me. And that movie made me really claustrophobic too. So there's that. So do you think, this is probably a very easy question, but are there any recurring themes in horror movies, like specific formulas or tropes that you want to talk about? And we'll start with Chris.
I think it's kind of a broad trope, but body transformation, whether you get that moment. And I think it's interesting to see how they do it depending on when the movie was made and the special effects techniques they had at the time. From like the 1930s Invisible Man, where it was all just like sleight of camera tricks, but you still see this invisible guy unwrapping these bandages off of his face and there's nothing there. And it still holds up today, to like every vampire like change scenario. And I just rewatched it again recently, the 1980s The Fly with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. And it, on one hand, it's kind of a really touching love story about watching someone you love just like slowly agonizingly die. But it's also about a guy who splices his DNA with the flies and slowly mutates into a giant fly, and it's just pure great 80s body horror.
What do you think, Laria?
I don't know. I guess I'm really into like the other world kind of thing. Like I'm very into movies about ghosts and possession and the unknown, the things we can't see. Though, because those are the things that, like, yeah, that would scare me. Yeah. All of a sudden, I see a book fly across the room. I'm going to have some questions. You know, I'm not going to stay in that house. You know, I got enough common sense to leave. But, I like possession movies and things with ghosts and stuff because I've always been really, really into, like, the paranormal kind of thing. So I think like I used to watch like the original OG like ghost hunters, the original ghost hunters, and I always wanted to like I want them to find a real ghost. I want them to catch a real ghost. I'm one of those people. So
Yeah, I like the paranormal stuff too, but I also feel like it's kind of real because I do believe in ghosts, and I do think there's like the other side and that you shouldn't mess with it because nothing goes right when you mess with it.
You just don't want to go play with the Ouija board?
No, I'm gonna
You
let
just don't want to, come on, let's go have a seance.
I
No
totally
big
had an
deal.
experience,
You do? With a Ouija board?
not with the Ouija board, but I did a not like summoning, but I said a certain ghost's name 3 times, and
Oh,
then I definitely heard like 3 loud steps coming from the outside porch, and it was at night.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
you told me
I was
this.
trying to do it to like conquer that fear, and then it's like, okay, I was legit to be afraid. Okay,
No,
good to know.
Sorry.
that didn't really help you conquer much of anything as far as the fear, huh?
Well, when I looked outside, there was nothing actually there, so I was just like, okay, not going to do this anymore.
Can I say who the
Confirmed.
ghost is? I know who
Hmm?
it is. Can I say
What?
who the ghost is? I know who it is because you told me this story.
Oh, go ahead.
It was Bloody Mary.
Yep. Kids brought that up in 3rd grade, and I was terrified.
Do you know that and what is the other one, like Candyman and all the other ones? You're supposed to go in the bathroom and in front of light bulb. That is the only thing I have never done,
I've
and
never done
probably will never do. As into paranormal and things like that, like I'm firm believer, like ghosts exist, that whole thing. Like I believe in ghosts. I think there is a whole nother world of energy. Energy just doesn't go away, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is another, but like I'm not gonna go poke at it. No, I'm not gonna go do that. I'm not gonna
Respect
go
it.
huh?
Respect it.
Exactly. And my grandmother used to tell me, you know, you don't mess with the other side like that. Like you don't do those things. No Ouija boarding for me.
Nope. I'm just gonna nope right out of there.
Yeah.
Nope. I want to see the ghost, but I'm not gonna bother you.
Yeah. I also really like the trope of like things aren't what they seem. So when there's just this huge twist that you weren't expecting, I love that. Kind of like how in Midsummer it was just like a fun like festival and you know come on this trip with your friends, but then it turns out it's very different and scary.
That is what I loved about Get Out. That is absolutely
Yeah,
it.
Jordan Peele is a genius.
Yes, he is.
Get Out and Us, they were so good, and he had the perfect cast too.
Yeah. To this day, I won't like a regular teacup with a spoon.
Tink, tink.
Next thing I know, I'm gonna like sink into the floor. Okay. I'm okay.
I don't want to spoil anything at all, but I felt like with Us, I kind of had certain things about the ending, at least in thought, about halfway through, but I still thought it was brilliant the way everything was paced and set up. And then even at the end, I was like, it went one jump beyond I thought it was going to.
Yeah, even with like, well, I was especially impressed with the acting because they kind of had to play 2 characters because they had to play the family, but then also the tethered people too. So I thought that was brilliant, and it just and the social commentary of Jordan Peele's movies too are really striking.
That's something that horror can do really well if it's done well. It is like social commentary.
The crazy thing about Get Out though was that there are actual like there's an actual like good amount of people that could actually be a thing. Like selling people for their body parts and stuff like that. Like right now, especially in the age of with trafficking being as high as it is right now, like human trafficking, I could see that. I could see that happening, and that scares me more than the ghost. That scares me more.
Yeah, that is, yeah, then like the ghost just moving some things every now and then.
Right. Like, you know, you could just be a poltergeist. It's like the gnat at the barbecue. Like, you're annoying, but not malicious. Selling my body and harvesting my organs.
Yeah, well, and it goes back to like how humans are just terrifying in themselves. This isn't a movie, but this talk about like social commentary made me think about Black Mirror on Netflix, which mostly centers around the evolution and possible danger of technology. Because I feel like we're seeing a lot of that coming up with like AI and talking about chips, and it's really scary. And some of those episodes, like, they really are so heavy and like made me really think after them.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. So horror TV shows. Are we throwing those in the mix? Because
are we approaching a certain TV show?
Oh yes. Oh yes, we are. American Horror Story.
Wait, Chris has seen, have you
one season?
Okay, so you just saw Murder House.
Well, which one season did you see, and was it the good season?
Oh, was it Murder House?
No, it was Freak Show.
That is it's not the best, but it's an acceptable season.
It's Ryan Murphy. I always expect him to start on a high, and then it just kind of tumbles down.
That does.
No, because sidebar, his other show is really, really good. Just throwing that out there. But Freak Show was a good season. That was a good run.
I liked a lot of parts of it. Some of it was, but yeah.
Julia, you're shaking your head. You weren't a fan of Freak Show?
No, because I don't. Should I spoil part of it or the ending?
Whatever, we're talking about it.
If you're watching and you haven't watched Freak Show, either mute us or
close your eyes, plug your ears.
Yeah, but what I didn't like about Freak Show was at the end, it was basically just like a bloodbath. And I was like, okay. Because I feel like everyone just got murdered at the end. Not everyone, but like a lot of them.
I mean, but that tied into I don't know. I thought that was a nice way to tie into it, because Dandy was that, you know what, crazy. Yeah. So I thought that him turning out to be like a serial killer basically was a nice way to kind of like loop it all together. But I mean, I get it, but it was just kind of almost like one of those things. It's like, well, what they couldn't do a Where Are They Now for every character, so it was just kind of like, well, what else are they gonna do with the fat woman? What else are they gonna do with, you know?
Yeah.
So I like that the only real like two people that got out were like I forget what his name was in the thing, but I love that Evan Peters and Angela Bassett were the only ones that like really made it out of the Freak Show. Because even Elsa was taken down by what is his name? Edward Mordrick. That was the creepy guy with the top hat.
Oh yeah.
The creepy dude with the top hat. Yeah, because she performed on Halloween, which was like a no-no. But I even thought, like, I wanted her to die by the spinning wheel. I thought it would be like a nice little justice thing for you to die on your own spinning wheel. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely liked a lot of the characters. Like, I even felt for Twisty a little bit.
I know.
Poor Twisty.
I know. He
Yeah.
had such a sweet, like you thought he was evil, but then you found out his backstory and you were like, oh man, like.
Yeah. If there's something Ryan Murphy can do, I feel like it's make you feel sorry for the supposed villain kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and that humans are the real villains.
The worst.
And the monsters. I'm still not over Ma Petite.
Yeah. That one broke my heart.
I know.
That one really did break my heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I watched that season is because it is riffed off of an old 1930s classic horror movie that I like, where it's this like that the scene near the end where the freaks are going after them in the thunderstorm. That was a shot-for-shot homage from the original movie, but in the original movie they hired actual people who worked as circus freaks with these physical deformities, like they did a bit in the Murphy series. But so that whole season was like an homage to this classic film, which I liked. But so what did you guys think about the other seasons?
Wow.
Because you saw all of
There's a
those.
favorite. There's always a favorite.
Over last weekend, I watched the last 3 seasons. I hadn't seen them. But I think Murder House will always be like my favorite because it was the first season, but also it was just really scary. I was building up to watch it, and I would always like chicken out, and I would always be like, no, I'll do it another time. And then I finally watched the first season, and I like was genuinely terrified. And I think, yeah, seasons 1 and so Murder House and Coven, I think were really good. The later ones are okay. I think I did really enjoy 1984 more than I thought I would. Yeah, because it's like
it was cool.
Yeah, it like plays off of like this campy like you know, like Friday the 13th, but there's like more to the story which I liked. But yeah, Laria, what are your favorite seasons?
My favorite season is and will continue to be Coven. I love witches. Yeah, like my family's like part Creole, so there's like that like, ooh, I could. It's not a far stretch. I could be. So I like witches, and then I love that they brought them back for what was it, Apocalypse? Yeah. Not the most recent, but the one before it. Yeah. I love that they brought them back for that. I'm one of those people that keeps resharing like the fan art of Marie Laveau getting her own kind of like showing the evolution of Marie Laveau. I'm really, really excited. I hope, hint, Ryan, if you ever see this, do it. Like, Coven's my favorite. My second favorite is Murder House. I do enjoy Murder House. My least favorite is Roanoke. Roanoke was trash.
That was bad.
They could have thrown Roanoke away, honestly. I mean, I just and it could have also just been I'm just not a huge fan of seeing Cuba Gooding Jr. on my screen. It could have been that, but the only season I have not brought myself to completely watch, I watched like the first 4 episodes. The only season I can't bring myself to watch right now is Cult.
Oh yeah, Cult was pretty good. It has like a happy ending, if that helps.
Yeah, like I saw like the first 4, and then the thing about it was that it might have been the timing of when it came out. Kind of thing, because then it was also like, oh well, you know, suburban white women are the ones that really, really wrote it, and it was like, and then you find out it was one of those kind of things, and then just I don't know, and then finding out that it was the season that Evan Peters was like, I need to take a moment, I need to take a break. I'm like, what did you do to him to really make him like have to take a break, you know? Yeah. But it looked really, really good, and eventually I'm going to finish it and get through all the rest of the episodes. I just need a moment, you know?
Yeah. Can we talk about how Angela Bassett doesn't age? And I love it. She's
for real. I love her. I love her so much. And the thing about it is like, I don't know. I want to see her more. So maybe that's why I'm really looking, because I can't gush enough about her. Like I just can't. So I'll stop because I'll talk about how I love Angela Bassett for hours. So
Yeah. Well, I also didn't love that Jessica Lange left because I did like her a lot too. Um,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. She's great.
yeah. Chris, does this make you want to watch more or
So
less?
I do remember now. I watched. I'm gonna guess maybe half of Hotel, and eventually just got exasperated with it. And then I heard later that Wes Bentley's character was exactly what I thought he was. So I was like, whatever. And I did see the first episode of Carl, and again, too soon. So I didn't watch anything after that. But
I
I
feel
should go
that.
back and watch some of the earlier seasons.
I feel that.
Murder House, Coven.
Hotel, I actually really, really loved. I loved Hotel. And I think that's also, again, just because I liked the vampire thing going in it. Like, Lady Gaga, I thought she did a really, really great job. I know that so many people are just like, it's such a split on whether or not it was good or not because of her, but I do think that she brought a certain. I genuinely was surprised by how well that I thought that she played that character. Um, and it just, I don't know. There were parts of it that like, because my husband kind of did the same thing. Like he started, and then like I think it took the monster, the demon monster with the drill for a member. I think that kind of did it for him, and he was like, "I'm out."
Oh, now I remember
I think
that.
that was kind of like where he was like, "I'm done." But if you could kind of like just get past that, the other thing I liked about Hotel was the tying into real life serial killers. Like Devil's Night is
Mhm.
probably my favorite episode of that. Again, because I love true crime and true whatever. Like, so seeing like you put Eileen Wuornos on screen kind of thing. And then did you think it was interesting how they put in Hotel on Devil's Night, there's what's his name? Richard Ramirez.
The night.
And then he got thrown into 1984 too.
Yeah. Wait, was it the same actor or no?
No, I think it was a different actor because I think the 1984 actor was supposed to be younger because Hotel was supposed to
84.
be like modern time kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Wait, what was your question? If I liked it? If I liked
I
that
was just
the
gonna say,
1984?
did you like how they kind of like put them together? Because you know how American Horror Story always does. There's a little bit of a tie from each season into like they weave together, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Whether explicitly or implied kind of thing. So I just thought it was really, really cool how they did that. And I was just wondering what you
Yeah.
thought.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like the 80s was like high time for serial killers too. So it was accurate as well. Um,
Right.
yeah, I also think Evan Peters did really well playing H.H. Holmes. Like that was
Yeah.
he was a scary dude. Uh
Yeah.
twisted, but like maybe kind of a genius.
Good architect or
Really good architect, but also terrible.
bad person.
We could talk about American Horror Story probably for this entire viewers advisory,
That's
but
fair.
I wanted to get to what is the most unsettling horror movie you've seen that you just like can't, like you have to cover your eyes. Because for me, that is Human Centipede. I I can, every time I think about it, I get really queasy and just like grossed out, and it makes me sweat. And I just like the thought of being sewn to another person like that is just like very ugh. So
Repulsive.
yeah. Blech. All right. Laria.
Honestly, I don't think I don't think I've ever like covered my eyes from something. I don't think, oh, I don't, I've never covered my eyes, but because I'm a possession fan, like of possession movies and stuff, when they are becoming possessed and their bones crack. It's not seeing it that bothers me. It is the noise. The noise of like, and I hate when I hear like I have a friend that can like just randomly crack her chest. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I hate hearing bones crack. That sound just it instantly sends like chills up my spine and kind of like makes me like
I wish I had celery sticks with me because that's
why would you do that to me? You just hold it up to the mic and just go
or be like, oh man, my neck. And then my head turns all around.
Right.
I get that. It's the like body transformation. It's like body shouldn't be able to do this, but it is.
And that's not right. And that's not right. That's like when they're coming at you and they're like they're coming and they're like one your neck is this way, one arm is bent this way, one arm is bent the other way, and here they come, and I'm like,
and still just shuffling along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Fly has a lot of that, so maybe don't see that.
You see it to confront your
Confront the fear.
I think I'm good on that one.
What about you, Chris?
It's a really obscure movie, and I think I've only seen it like 1 or 2 times, but it's called it's Tetsudo or Tetsudo, and it's like subtitled The Iron Man, but it's this like I think it was done in the 80s. It was like a Japanese shock horror movie where this guy basically becomes infatuated with metal and mechanics and starts mutating, and like his body becomes metal, but it's basically kind of like cyborg elements as a transmitted sexual disease.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's intense. It's and like
damn.
I was fascinated watching it, but I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Okay.
That's got some onion layers to it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do think like for the foreign films tend to be just 10 times better. There is this another Japanese one called The Audition. And it's this like 90-pound little girl, but she's like meeting all these producers and stuff because she wants to be like an actress, and she's meeting all these producers, and like when they reject her, that's like your fatal mistake kind of thing. And there's this one scene with this guy, and like she has his foot and she's torturing him. She takes piano wire and just yeah. You okay, Joy?
Yeah, just like ouch.
Yeah. So definitely the foreign films tend to be
They take it to another level.
Oh yeah.
And America can't handle it.
Nope.
Yeah, that any kind of like torture movie I can't watch. And I think it's mostly the like visual maybe is good on the movies part because they're accomplishing that is just gross.
Right.
That's the one where, and it's not even like afraid. It's just like, I don't want to look at that. Like, I don't want to see a chain of people sewed together.
It kind of same like, yeah, just the idea of that movie. It's like, I'm never going to watch it. And that's okay.
And that's okay. Or like, yeah, like the Saw series and Hostel, just, I don't know, watching someone just scream for so long. but the ones that like really, the psychological ones are the ones that like instill fear in me. But
get that.
yeah, I did want to talk about also like how horror movies have changed over time. So like from Nosferatu until now. Yeah, so I don't remember who is next, but
No, I want to say they've gotten better. But there are certain like older horror movies that are just they're not touchable. They're just better because they're better, even with the terrible technology. Like, I think the very first like Cabin in the Woods or something. I think it was Cabin in the Woods, or maybe it was like Dead something. I don't know. But it was like in the like it was done in like the 1970s or something. And like, so technology was non-existent. You know that they're using like buckets and buckets of fake blood, but it was still better than like the remake they did. Like, it was just still better than the remake. The remake came off very almost campy to me.
Wait, Cabin in the Woods, the new one?
I can't remember if it's Cabin in the Woods. It's something about a cabin and they're in the woods, and I think
I know what movie you're talking about, but
yeah, like the sister becomes
me.
possessed or something. Yeah, like she becomes possessed, and she like, because they opened a book that they shouldn't have opened.
The Necronomicon, yeah.
Yes, like you open it, like, well, what do you think is gonna happen? Here is this book that's got all these etchings in it, and then you have this one friend who just randomly speaks this ancient language and tells you that it says, "Do not open." What are we gonna do, guys? We're gonna open it.
Well, I don't think horror movies with common sense would go very far.
But then you get, like I said, but then there is a lane for campy horror movies. So like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Killer Clowns from Outer Space will always be like one of my favorite campy ones, because it was just kind of like, oh, this is so bad, it's good.
Yeah.
You have a favorite campy?
Do I have a favorite campy? Let me think. Friday the 13th. I really liked it. And the ending, like, I was warned about the ending, but it still got me. So.
That's
fair. I like, for campy, I like some of the later Halloweens. I think they were trying to still make serious movies, but like, no, they were just campy, but they're still kind of fun to watch.
Even those, like, even the later Halloweens, I don't think was like as campy as like something like, it's not as bad. Like, even horror campy is not as bad as like Sharknado campy. Like, it's a different level of, there's a different level of campy too.
I was gonna ask, would you consider Sharknado campy?
Extremely. They literally make those movies to cut a check. There's no actual, we're trying. No. First of all, the idea of a shark in a tornado
is amazing.
Is campy itself to me. Yeah. That's my personal opinion. Now, if Sharknado happens to be your cup of tea and you're actually good with it, great, fine, dandy. But in my opinion, it's just.
So how would you define campy? Because when I hear campy, I think of like Scream and just like a lot of over the top acting, a lot of just like, and a lot of kind of stereotypes. Like the jock is like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of the bad guy, but then he ends up getting murdered. Like, so, like, Chris, how would you define campy?
Yeah, just it really broad acting, but they know they're being broad. If it's good campy, it's done with a wink and a nudge to the audience. Like you're kind of in on the fun.
Break that third
Um,
wall.
Kind of going back to Ryan Murphy, but his feud show with Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon as Betty
What is it?
Davis
Bossy?
and Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
But the movie they made within that, they were making Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. That is a great camp kind of psychological horror classic. Where those two actresses were older, their best days were behind them. They just went for broke and hammed it up, and it is so fun to watch.
I have to check that one out. I've seen it before and just never have brought myself to like actually just press play. And it's just genuinely because like I read instead of like stream all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know. I've gotten to a point with like streaming movies that's like, unless I can go to a theater and be terrified, I'm just kind of like, I'll watch it later.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
Yeah, and there are almost too many options streaming too, or it's hard to pick one.
Exactly.
It was really fun. The first time I saw Nosferatu was it was a Halloween night retrospective on the big screen with a live orchestra.
Whoa.
That was cool.
That's so cool.
That's a really, really cool way to do that one, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or like any horror movie, because the score is just like very important, and like imagine watching a horror movie without any music.
Right. Like I would never know that this was a horror movie without like the D minor chord.
Or like the scratching violins, or like So what is your favorite subgenre of horror? So like zombies, and I think we kind of answered some of this, but paranormal movies, gore, camp, others. I don't know if it's a subgenre, but like the where there's like a group and it's just always a group. I don't know. Let's start with Laria.
Number one is definitely paranormal. Number two, I love vampires. I do. Interview with a Vampire. Say what you want about it. Say what you want about Tom Cruise. I love. Because again, I have very strong opinions on what a vampire is. Like I hated Twilight. I did. To this day, I still do. I still hate Twilight because I just teenager brooding vampires does not a vampire make for me. I'd rather my vampires be more on the Kate Beckinsale in Underworld kind of thing. Like I'm very particular about how I like my vampires. So you gotta come correct with the vampires to me.
The vampires were teenagers once.
Depending on when they get turned in their lives, I suppose. But like just being a brooding teenager for some girl, like that's boring to me. That's extremely boring. No, if I'm a vampire and I'm gonna live through centuries and centuries, I'm gonna go have fun. I'm gonna do lots of like bad things because I can, you know? Like I'd rather that.
Yeah. I like the very like elegant vampires and like very like, sultry.
Or even that I feel like is better than just I want her, but she wants the werewolf right now.
And I sparkle.
5 minutes. Like, okay, dude, you're gonna live forever, homie. You could go find another girl. I'm just saying, you could find someone.
I want a still of that look.
So all I got to say about that error.
Chris, what's your favorite subgenre of horror?
I do like dramatic horror, but then I also am with Laria on the vampires.
Mm.
I did love Buffy, but I thought it was a better balance of vampires as kind of inhuman monsters or threats, and then also taking sometimes the relatable, jokey tone too. I just think Twilight took that too many steps too far.
Yeah, I was too. I used to stay up and sneak watch it because I wasn't allowed to watch it. But yeah, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, like just the whole like with Let the Right One In, that took like a very dramatic kind of childhood look at a vampire, and the original Nosferatu, the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi. You know, these were lonely, inhuman, formerly people monsters, and that's kind of sad on a little bit of a point.
Yeah, I really like the psychological horror movies. And my second favorite would be paranormal, because I feel like those two also like go together really well. Because not only are you confused and anxious, there are also malicious spirits around you.
Yeah, I get that. I get that because there's a very nice way to blend those or like repeatedly. Like, did you ever watch Paranormal Activity? Did you make it through like the whole thing?
I watched the first 3, I think.
Okay, so when you get to like the last one, there's a nice little like it becomes horror and paranormal, but also psychological in that this is your family that's doing this to you in some way, shape, or form.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like, again, it's one of those things you gotta hang in there for. You gotta, and that's fair, but it's another one of those like, just hang in there. I promise. After a while, it like how bad the first like 3 or whatever were, the last like 1 or 2 kind of helped to make.
How many are there? Are there like 7 or 8?
I don't know. Like the last like I think it's like the 4th or the 5th one where it like ties everything together and it's like the finale or whatever. And then they decided to make more, which why would you do that? But you know. Sequels in general are very, because like It Too was terrible. The first It was okay, decent, a nice modern look at, you know, a horrifying movie that was already there. Okay. The second one was trash.
I still need to see that.
Huh?
But I still need to see that. But maybe not. Nope.
It's I mean,
it's entertaining.
Yeah, but that's kind of it. It's not really scary.
Okay.
I don't know, that the part where, wait, is it okay if I spoil like one?
Yeah, go.
Okay, the part where they're like in the fun house and it like licks the window from like top to bottom. Do you remember that, Laria?
Yes, that part freaked you out.
That was freaky, and it reminded me of my dog.
I could see that, actually.
And I was like, it's Sadie.
Just
yeah. But wait, I'm jumping around in my head. But yeah, the first one was scary, and the scene that scared me the most is where it just got like really giant.
Yeah.
Is her name Betty? Or what's her name?
The girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Betty. Okay. When she's like in
maybe.
What?
I said I think maybe.
Okay. That sounds familiar.
I get sketchy on the names.
It's a B.
Yeah.
Please don't come after me. But when she's like in the corner and it just gets really giant, I'm like, that was really scary to me. Even though a lot of people are like, that was so cheesy, like the way that he got big and like busted through the screen. But I was like, that was like the scariest part for me.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
scariest part was like the part about this when she was like the same girl when she was like standing over her sink in her bathroom. Those are the things that start that make me go, wait. Yeah, those are because like when you're like those moments with like when a character is like washing their face or their eyes are closed and then they open them and the thing pops out. Like, yeah, those are the ones that like if I'm gonna jump at anything, it's probably gonna be those. If I'm gonna jump, it's gonna be because like I get it because like I wash my face with soap I wash my face with my facial wash and my soap and I'm always like, hurry up, get it done before the murderer comes.
Nothing good ever happens in the bathroom. Ever.
There's really something about the bathroom scenes. It's like this is me time. I'm washing my face. It's been a long day. I'm at the end. If you're in the shower, you're completely exposed.
Yeah.
And then you're just washing your hair, and you're trying not to get soap in your eyes, and then the demon pops out of the shower head or the drain or whatever.
Or like the psycho serial killer.
Classic.
Chocolate syrup.
But yeah, like that's probably why the bathroom is such like a setting where nothing good happens, is because you are like super vulnerable, and who wants to be murdered when they're on the can? Like, it's
that's actually a fear that I never knew I had, but I feel like please, I just want let me pee first. Please let me pee first.
Just let me be fully dressed.
Let me keep my dignity before.
Exactly, but the malicious spirits, the monsters, they're like, no. Like, can you picture like a movie where the killer is like, just get dressed first. I'll wait, and they're just like sitting with the like knife in their hand, just like, and then when the person's done, they're like, all right.
There's a scene in Family Guy that like, okay, so like it's not a serial killer, but it's like they're doing a Christmas story thing. So like there's the ghost of Christmas past or whatever. And the guy's like, hold on, before we go on our journey, just let me go to the bathroom. He pees for like 2 minutes straight. And the ghost is just like, so then the ghost of Christmas future walks in and he's like, you guys are still here? You haven't left yet? He's like, no, he's peeing.
That's hilarious.
Can you imagine just like, yeah, I'll wait. It's no big deal.
I've got all of eternity.
I've got all of eternity. It's very polite though. I respect it. Like, yeah, you can't run on a full bladder.
Fair.
Yep.
Fair.
We got a little off track, but but I wanted to talk about a couple things. So like, first off, can you name a horror movie series where it's been successful? Because I feel like sequels are really hard, because I really enjoy when horror movies kind of end on an ambiguous note and kind of like, who knows what happened. So yeah. Chris, what do you think?
That is a tough one, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the Conjuring series qualifies, so my answer is already out there.
I knew that was coming. I've only seen the first one, though.
But it's kind of one of those things, like, it's one of the thing about it is I feel like it's one of the only, like, successful, like, we're gonna create a horror world, like how they do like the MICU and stuff like that. Like, we're going to create a world of Conjuring kind of thing. I think it's the only one that's really been able to kind of do that and sustain itself that way.
How many Conjurings are there?
It's like, it's The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, The Nun, I think Annabelle, all the Annabelles. There's 2 Annabelles. I think both Annabelles go in there. Yeah, but they've created like a world out of them, and I like things that do that. And it could also be my superhero brain, because I'm also a huge like superhero fan. So I like things that kind of, we're gonna take this one movie and based on its success, okay, let's see if we can do some other things, because the Nun was actually really, really good. Really, really good. If I recommend, if you haven't seen it, I do recommend The Nun.
Okay. Well, yeah, but they did something really different where they like took elements of the first one to make more, rather than like The Conjuring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah,
8,
yeah.
which is what Halloween did.
But I think the only way to be successful is to kind of do it like that, because after a while, people get bored. I'm tired of seeing the same killer. I'm tired of seeing Mike Myers slash the same person or the same, like the same teenagers that's gonna like run in the woods and break her ankle out of nowhere. I'm tired of seeing that. So I think, being like, okay, so we're gonna take this one little element from here. We're going to take this one element from there, and we're going to make it something different. I think that's kind of one of the only ways nowadays to be successful in sequel making, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm stumped by my own question. I can't think of
I've got a slight answer now, having heard Laria's, but kind of the same thing where they take the original elements and do something different with it. I haven't seen all the movies, but I did like what the Child Play movies did, where they started out as a serious horror film with the first Child's Play, but then by like, I'm not sure if it was the 3rd or the 4th sequel with Bride of Chucky, they're like, let's just go for a campy horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked because you had like, let's do the other side of possessed dolls and just make it ridiculous. And so I did kind of like that. I haven't seen every movie in the series, but
I did like Bride of Chucky. Bride of Chucky was really, really good. Again, that could also just be because Jennifer Tilly is
hilarious.
She's amazing. So it could also just be because of that. Because I did see Seed of Chucky. Yeah, I could have not. It would have been fine. But and that's again, that could just be because then they decided to take it in the really campy direction about everything.
So. Yeah, in that same vein of like comedy horror. So like the first thing that came to mind for me was like Zombieland, which I would not categorize as a horror movie. I think that's entirely comedy.
I'd agree. I absolutely I hate zombies. It's another one of those boring concepts to me.
Yeah.
Brains, eat your brains. What else you got? What else do you have? So I kind of like, even when they do it like, oh, it's a virus, or oh, somebody got bit by something, like, okay, it's still the same thing. But Zombieland I absolutely love Zombieland.
Yeah.
Rule number 1, double tap. Double tap and cardio. I've held on to those because that's how I'm gonna survive the zombie apocalypse, right?
Well, I loved Bill Murray in it. I thought he was really good. And that also makes me think of the Scary Movies like franchise where they make fun of like common horror movie tropes.
Oh yeah.
Too. Yeah. And when I saw The Exorcist, I was like, oh, that's what they were referencing.
I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah.
It's funny that like all of those tropes are so well known now that they used to be horrifying and now they're just like so ripe for parody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here's
where the big scary killer's gonna kill me.
This is where I break my ankle. I really liked Scary Movie. I thought it was funny. All of them. Maybe not all of them. I liked the first two.
I liked, I don't know, like up until like the last one. I think there like 4
4 or
or
5.
something.
Mm.
Yeah, like up until the last one, I really like I absolutely loved them, and like the last one, I was just like, yeah. But it also could have been because of the movies. You notice that they picked like the relevant movies of that time frame to parody. So it also could have just been because I think like the movies that were out then weren't horror enough to parody. In my words, in my brain, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm. Interesting. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is if you are in a horror movie, what is the worst setting you could be in? So my first reaction is a house that kind of like a haunted house that kind of has a mind of its own. Maybe that's partly because I have control issues and I like having like control of things. So when everything's happening, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't handle it. So yeah, what is the scariest setting to be in?
I'm gonna go asylum or prison. I don't like the idea of being locked away. I don't like no more locked doors. I don't like the idea of being like involuntarily like trapped kind of thing. And I feel like with asylums asylums and prisons. So like my favorite like Ghost Hunter episodes were always the ones when they were at houses. I hated the ones when they went to like asylums and jails and stuff like that. Because in my mind, this ghost is gonna keep me here. And I can't have that. I can't be locked up involuntarily like because of some demonic possession or something.
Yeah. And also I feel like since there were so many people that were wrongfully detained in those
Exactly.
they're all gonna be vengeful spirits. Like
There's a lot of rage. There's a lot of rage there. And it's just kind of like one of those and then you also gotta worry about like, okay, well what spirits were like might be nice because I didn't do it. And what spirits are just gonna mess with you just because they're just evil spirits. That thing. So I'm gonna stay away from asylums.
no,
We can't do that.
I
but
felt like
sorry.
no.
I was just gonna add that, but asylums are like some of them are really beautiful buildings.
Yeah, they are like the Victorian architecture of a lot of them is great. Like from a historian standpoint, beautiful. From Laria walking around thing,
Yep.
I'm gonna just admire that from the road, from like the highway road, not like the road leading up to it, like the highway
Yeah.
in passing, still going.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chris? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I think I read a thing about one of those like abandoned prisons that's been converted into like kind of tours and like ghost walk type attraction. That there was a petition to get that business shut down because people felt like it was being disrespectful to all the people that were like executed at the prison.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like people are making money off of other people's tragedies, and yeah.
Well, we still do stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, but in a way, it's also like informing people about what happened. So in some way you could say it's respecting them, but at the same time no, because everyone's just focused on like the killing and not necessarily like all the families are innocent people.
Yeah.
So wow.
I think for what location would I like the least, it would be a hospital, whether it's abandoned or currently in working order, because just the idea of like, okay, if there's this creature or killer stalking it, but then the actual like medical thing of people suffering there anyways, it's just like, that's just kind of overkill for me.
I get that. Hospitals creep me out anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, like I hate hospitals. I'm one of those people who's just really sketchy around them anyway. So I could see how that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, the fluorescent lights.
Blinking, just
the
like
antiseptic smell.
the one light that won't like stay on or something.
Yeah, I think that the common theme is that like places where you're supposed to feel safe, like at home or in a hospital, it's like scary to think about things going the other way in a place where one, people are supposed to heal you, and also like where you settle and like live a life.
Yeah, because you're supposed to feel safe in your house. So what's the best way to scare you? Make you not feel safe in your house. That's just like I don't know if anyone ever saw like The Strangers. Yeah, like
that was scary with Liv Tyler.
That was different. That was a different kind of like, I'm gonna go check my doors and make sure everything is locked. And
have either?
That.
Yeah, that one, The Strangers was good. That one was scary. That plays into my whole like abduction fear. But did you all ever see the movie Hush?
I saw bits and pieces. I never did watch the whole thing.
It was really good. The premise is that there's a woman, she lives alone, but she's deaf. Yeah. And it's how someone's trying to invade her home and hurt her, and how she gets through it.
Wasn't there another one that was like that? It was an old guy though. It was like don't speak or something.
It's about breathing, right? Don't breathe. It's called like Don't Breathe, or
like Don't Breathe or something, and like the guy's blind or something. He's blind, and then these teenagers break in his house, and like he's blind, but like he's some kind of combat savant or something. So, like
it was the wrong person to mess with.
Yeah, like that was the wrong person's house to break into.
Yeah,
but I like that one, and I was really looking forward to seeing if they did another one of that one to that.
I think they are, but I don't.
Yeah, because they kind of had set it up for a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't see it, but I assume like if it did well, that they would be like, let's do another. Yeah. But that's another thing too, is like teenagers and youths just like going into other people's houses. Like I went on a long rant with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like I don't condone what Leatherface was doing. I think it's twisted what he was doing and wrong. But he was minding his own business in his house, in his home. And then the teenagers, they just went in. Like, not that they deserve to die, but like, don't go into other people's houses.
It's one of those weird things. It's like you didn't, but if you didn't do that, you would have been fine. So it's like your fault, but not your fault, but it is your fault. It's weird.
It's a weird trope. It's almost like intergenerational commentary. It's always like, you kids are coming out to my property. Now I'm gonna have to hack you up.
Those
it's like, maybe just, lock your door extra tight. Bolt your door a few more times. That way the kids won't sneak in.
Those meddling kids and their dumb dog.
No.
Okay, so let's tie it up with this last question, which is, what horror movie are you looking forward to coming out soon? And I have one answer, and that is the remake of Candyman. Because the director is a woman, which I think is awesome. I don't know her name off the top of my head. And also Jordan Peele is working on that movie too. So I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. He's got another one, like, Antebellum. I'm looking forward to that one. There's another one. It's got Janelle Monáe in it, kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
And this woman, like, I think from what I see from the trailer, is like she's like gets trapped in like this time space thing that has her like stuck back in like pre-Civil War, pre-Civil War America kind of thing. Like she goes from having all this freedom of being in the modern times to all of a sudden now you're stuck back as a slave picking cotton. Yeah, it's I think it's called Antebellum. Let me hold on. I do have a computer in front of me.
I found the director's name. Her name is Nia DaCosta.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is cool. But everyone is like calling it like Jordan Peele's movie, and it's like no. He's not. It's Nia DaCosta.
Yeah. Like, could you not? But Chris, what are you looking forward to coming?
It's actually apparently starting this Sunday, but it's a TV series called Lovecraft Country. It's going to be on HBO, so hopefully we'll get the DVDs eventually. But it takes place in the 1950s, and this black guy goes back to a southern town. I think it might have been like his family hometown. But then, of course, so he runs afoul of Jim Crow era laws. But then it turns out that all of the white racists in this town worship the old ones, which are these interdimensional demons that view humans as like specks of dust. But it's so the title Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft was an influential horror writer from like the 30s and 40s who came up with these creatures. And it's like an element of kind of horror and fantasy that's become as ubiquitous as elves and goblins. But Lovecraft also was very much a racist and anti-Semitic guy. And so people have taken his creature creations and repurposed it and done it to make commentary about the man himself and about American society. And so there's been a few projects like that. And so I'm looking forward to that one.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Well, obviously they're doing another Conjuring.
They are?
Yes.
Okay, I've got to see the first one at least.
I know.
Yeah, this one will actually be called like there are actual like they have I think the director is like James, what is his name? James Wan or something? I think that's right. I think James Wan. Yeah. So he does like that whole series, and there is a Conjuring 3 coming out. It's back talking about like Ed and Elaine Warren, like the demon peoples. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Antebellum, because I am very much now on the Jordan like wave kind of thing. But then there is also another one that Relic or something that's supposed to be coming out that looks like it might kind of be it might be along those lines of messing with your psychological kind of thing like Joy likes. So I'm interested to see where that goes. They're doing another Michael Myers, which I for the life of me cannot figure out
Another one?
why.
I heard it got pushed, the filming got pushed back to like next year or something starting, but
I'm sure a lot of them's gotten pushed back because of COVID.
Really?
So, but there are a couple of them that I'm looking at, and every day like I see like something new is popping up or whatever. So I'm excited. I always feel like horror has its good years and its bad years, and I'm looking forward to whenever everything can be released. I really feel like it's going to be a really good year for horror.
Yeah, everyone's cooped at home with their minds.
Yeah.
I even forgot to mention one of my like one horror movie that I saw that's recent that I loved, which was Parasite. Ooh, that one was good. Did either of you see?
Really?
Did you see Parasite, Laria?
No. I think for me it was just kind of like in the same. It's a virus. It's a parasite. It attacks a person.
I meant the new Parasite. That
No.
won Best Picture.
The Korean movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've got that on my Hulu watch list.
I've heard
Yeah.
good things about it. I've heard good things about it, and I do want to see it. I just haven't, yet, but it's on the list.
It's definitely more psychological, I would say. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to say stuff about it without giving stuff away, but
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. And it also has some social commentary in there too about like classism. And yeah, so any last minute movie recommendations for our audience?
As well, so below. It was actually really good. The premise of it being about the actual the catacombs in Paris, I absolutely love that. And because I'm a fan of the macabre, I probably eventually, when it's safe to travel, that is on the bucket list. I think it's interesting. I find it disturbing and cool all at the same time. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend you see that movie. It's kind of cool, kind of creepy. It has its moments of like, what is this? It has its moments, in full disclosure, but in the long run, it was a really, really good movie and an excellent concept, I think.
Yeah, that one gave me claustrophobia too.
I have to tell you about my Rome catacomb tour sometime.
Really? Ooh.
Catacombs on catacombs.
Unfortunately, we were not allowed to take pictures, but.
Dang.
Which I think that's in the same realm of
Respect
like,
line,
the respect. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you were talking about, like respect kind of thing. Like as much as you want to capture it, like these are actual people's heads.
Yeah.
Actual people's like bones.
Maybe don't post it on your Instagram.
Yeah, like maybe we don't like try to do, oh guys, look at me, or hold up like the Hamlet's to be or not to be.
The sad thing is people would do that for real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's been done.
And that's why I'm like, yeah, I could see that. I could see how people could have an argument for like, don't do that.
My friend in Rome is a tour guide, so he's definitely had some bad stories on that.
That's a shame.
Why can't people just look at the things and like appreciate and look?
He's like, I told you twice, no. Don't go over the rope.
Chris, do you have any last minute recommendations for our
You can actually find it on Canopy, Library Bump. But it's called Haxen. It was like a 1922, I think, Swedish movie. Again, the Swedes. But it's a history of witchcraft. And it starts out as a really kind of ordinary, kind of dry documentary. And then it just goes off the rails of let's actually show all these wild images of what the witches do and how they worshipped. And they were using all these really early film techniques, but it's just, so it's kind of like an interesting horror, but also history of film movie.
So you can be scared and learn something about
Yep.
history. That's
Kaiju horror.
Those are the ones I like. That history horror kind of thing. Those are really good.
Yeah, like one's based off of true events. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both for joining me today and talking about horror movies. I think this could go on for a really long time, but
yeah.
But yeah, so thanks, and tune in next time for the next Viewers Advisory. Bye.